Are you scared to start sewing because you don't know where to start? You're really confused as to even how to thread the machine that you got off of Facebook Marketplace for $50, and now you're like, what kind of mistake did I make by buying this when I don't even know what the heck I'm doing? In today's video, we're going to learn how to thread your domestic sewing machine. So I'm going to show you the basics, how most machines are threaded, to kind of give you an idea of how it goes and to try to make it not so overwhelming, because I've been there, I've done that, and I am here to help you feel more confident. So grab that sewing machine and let's get into it. This is my main sewing machine. This was a hand-me-down given to me by my mother-in-law. It is a Janome limited edition Model 108 series. It is very basic with the stitches and very basic with the settings. There's no electronics over here, but I have decked it out with some stickers over time because, you know, you got to do that. You got to make it your own. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through the process of threading this bad boy. We'll do a couple of practice stitches just to show you that it also works. But right up top are your spool holders. Normally they're going to go right here, or some I've seen them lay like this, but I don't have experience with that kind of machine. But normally the thread sits up there. You've got two right here that you can use. Most machines also have your bobbin threader, which is here. We're not going to go over that in this video because that's not super duper basic, but this is where your bobbin would go. These are bobbins. These are what come in your machine. You should have at least one in the machine. If not, we'll talk about that later. But this is where bobbins go to get threaded. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But most of the time, your thread is going to sit here. There's usually a number of different paths that your thread is going to go before it gets down to the needle. So on my machine, it has this little hook. Now listen, I don't know any of the technical words. I really don't. So it's going to be this thingy, this hook. I'm sorry, I'm just not that cool. But basically, the overview of how this goes is thread comes from here, goes through here, goes across to some sort of hook that's here. Then it's going to go down and around a little bouncy part. There's like a little spring in here. It's going to go around there, and then I'm going to take my wheel. If you have a machine, this should be free flowing. If it's not, you may have to take it apart and do some servicing on it, but this should move. Now you only want to move it towards you when you're really using the machine, but yeah. This controls the up and down over here. I'll show it to you in a little clip, but what we're going to do is the thread's going to come over here through this little hook across to here. It's going to go down and around under this little bouncy. Then there's a little arm. You can kind of see it in here. There's a little arm. I'm going to spin this forward, and you're going to see this little arm move. When you're threading, you want this to be at the very, very top. You don't want it down here. You're not going to get anywhere if it's down there. Up here at the very top is where you want it. So then the thread is going to come back down. It's going to come through some sort of apparatus down here. Another little hook thing right here. And then we're going to get down to, there's two small hooks down here as well. And then through your needle. And I'm also going to show you how to thread your bobbin. Some machines have a side one like this. Some machines have the bobbin on top, but the principle is the same. So we'll go over that whole process in this video. If you're first starting out with your machine and you have nothing to go by, like I said, you're going to have just a normal spool of thread, which is what I've got here. We're just going to use black so that we can see what we're doing. And I like to do this process with the machine off but I might plug it up just so that you can have the light and you can kind of see. Hold on a second. If you're gonna do this with your machine plugged in with the light, if you don't have an additional light, then make sure that you're not pressing your pedal or anything like that whenever you're doing this, because you don't want your needle to do something that you don't want it to do. But anywho, I've got my thread, got it going, and I'm gonna put it on my spool holder, just like that. Oh, let me show you where the tail is. Here's the tail right here. And so now we're gonna go around this little hook right here. Let me turn it around so you can see. Oh, this is hard to do. Okay, so this thread is gonna go on the inside of here. There's a little opening right where my finger is. It's just gonna go right underneath there. That's gonna be your little first little hook. The reason it goes through all these little hooks is to give the correct tension for, you know, doing your sewing. Okay, so now, once you have it through that first hook, we're gonna go to the second hook. So here's my tail, and this hook back here, there should be a second kind of little arm that it's gonna go to after the first one. So we're gonna go through here. So this is my tail. Now there's gonna be some little crevices here, some little spots, and depending on your machine will depend on exactly like which side it needs to go. Based off of the instructions on my machine, mine goes on the right side of this little lever right here. So I'm gonna take my thread, come down. So here's my tail. We're gonna come down through there. Let's bring it down here. Okay, so you know how I showed y'all this little spring? There's like a little spring right here that bounces. And that's part of what gives this top thread tension. So the thread is gonna come onto the bottom of this little spring, just like that. And then it's gonna go back up to this arm that we popped up whenever we rotated our wheel. So it's gonna go down and up, down and up. So now that I'm up, I'm on the left side of this arm. And so we're gonna loop it back around. If you can see, there's like a little notch right there. That's where the thread's gonna sit when we bring it back down. Just like that. You can see, now my thread is coming back down. You're through here. You're through your little eye that's here. Okay, so now we're gonna come right down with it. Right down. Okay, so you can see, and this is not what you want to like just do or whatever, but you can see if I pull, you can see that little spring bounces. This is still my tail right here in my hand. That is what you want. That is good. You want it to bounce just like that. So once you've got it through your eye, you're come on down. There should be another little hook right here that you could go behind. There's a little opening behind here. It's a little opening. So now we're through there. Same here. There's a little opening. We're going behind. Just like that. We're almost to the needle. So there's a couple of things going on. There are hooks on both sides of your needle. This is where your sewing needle sits, and the eye of the needle is right here at the bottom. Now, for normal sewing purposes, this thread that we just went through all the loopy-loops is gonna go on the left-hand side. Again, this is gonna depend on what machine that you have and things like that, but normally it's gonna go on the left-hand side. Now, if you were using a dual needle, if you're using a needle like this, a double needle, that's when both of these will come into place. You'll actually put one thread here and one thread on the other side, and you'll thread them like that. But for just one single needle, it's going to be the left hand side. Your ivory needle is here. You're going to go from front to back. Anytime that you are threading a needle, you're just going to go from the front to the back. And I don't have an automatic threader or anything. Some machines have this little like hook that comes out, and you can automatically thread your needle, but my machine does not have that because it's older. But I'm just going to go manually and just I threaded through the front, and I'm going to take it to the back just like that. And that is threading the machine. That's the hard part. But yeah, you should have it looking like this, going through all of the nooks and crannies. Yeah, see the threads in there? See them? Yeah, that's what we like to see. And through all the hooks and down to the needle. Now, we got to get our bobbin into place. Bobbin's easy. That's easy mode. A bobbin is going to be this little thing that holds your bottom thread. Now, there's plastic ones and there are metal ones. I do not have a metal one with me. I'll put a picture in so you can see it. But it's just a little piece of plastic or metal, and your thread goes inside of it. Again, we're not going to thread bobbins in this video. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do a video showing how to thread a bobbin with your machine. But anyway, if you have your bobbin, you can buy these actually threaded, so you don't even have to like wind it. But I have a bobbin winder, and this is one that's already threaded. So your bobbin will look something similar to this. Like I said, this is an older machine. I believe the newer ones have a different technology, but this is where the bobbin hangs out. This is the bobbin holder. So mine has a little lever. Just pull the lever straight out, and it comes out, and the inside looks like this. Now, if you're adjusting your tension on your bobbin, there's a little screw right here on the side, and this is what you would use if you need to adjust the tension on your bobbin. A lot of the times you're going to be adjusting your tension up here, and there's certain settings for certain fabrics and things like that, but I will put a screenshot of the settings that are normal for my machine. It's going to depend on your machine, so please, if you get a machine, get familiar with your manual. Find it online from somewhere. I promise you it's there. This machine, I had a heck of a time finding it, but I did. But yeah, so your bobbin sits inside of here. The way that mine sits is when I have my bobbin, the thread is coming off of the right hand side. And so I put it in here. It sits nice and flat. Bobbins are not made equal. Make sure to get the bobbin that fits your machine. I have a Janome. If I try to put a Singer bobbin in here, sometimes the universal ones are jacked up too, but get the right bobbins for your machine. There's a couple of little levers in here. Like the tail of my thread is here. I'm going to put it through this tiny little notch right here, and I'm going to pull it to be right here. It's going to end up. This little flap moves just a tiny bit. But again, that is what adjusts the tension on your bobbin if you ever need to do that. But I'm just going to take this, take it through there. And that's where it's going to come out at, right there. So then you're just going to pop this right back into here. And it should just snap right into place. You want to leave a tail of bobbin thread because you're going to be pulling this up with your needle right before you sew. So let's do that now. Okay, so I've got a tail on my top thread. I have a tail on my bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wheel and I am going to rotate it until my bobbin thread comes up. Okay, so got this here, top thread, bottom thread. I'm taking my wheel and I'm going to be turning it towards me and see what happens down here. Your needle's going to come down through here, and it should catch this bobbin thread so you can pull it up through the plate. This part is your like sewing plate. I like to just put a little bit of tension on this. I'm not pulling it, I'm just holding it, but I'm rotating it. And then you can see where that white thread just popped up. That's exactly what we want. Let's take this brush and so now I have both threads on top. That is exactly what we're looking for. You want to start with both threads on top of your sewing plate. So now I'm just going to go ahead and close that up. All right, so now let's test out what we've done and see if we did it correctly. Got a piece of scrap fabric, got it folded in half. Just gonna put it underneath my presser foot here. My machine, I know that like not all machines are like this, but mine, if I don't hold the threads whenever I put my needle down, then sometimes it gets unthreaded. I feel like there's a workaround around that, but yeah, what we're gonna do is with your needle, you're gonna start in the material. So I'm gonna hold my thread, I'm turning my wheel towards me so that the needle is down in the fabric. I'm gonna take my pedal and I'm just gonna do a few stitches. And that is what I call a damn good stitch. That's the bottom. You can see the contrast there, the white with the black little tick marks. And then that's the top. So we have successfully threaded our lovely machine. She's my bestie. I give her pets sometimes. She's my bestie. That is the basics of how to thread your sewing machine. Again, every machine is going to be just a tad bit different. Sometimes the little hooks are in different places. Sometimes they're on like the left side versus the right side. Sometimes there's like instructions that show you exactly how to do it. On my serger, for instance, I have the instruction manual because I purchased it, but there's also instructions showing you exactly which way goes this way and that way, so that's convenient as well. But if you don't have that convenience and you've got to learn on your own, again, I know how it feels to be frustrated, to feel like you're just going into it with nothing. So I got you. I'm here to help. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments, or if there's something that didn't quite make sense, something I can clarify in another video. And if you want to know specifics about the bobbins and how the bobbin spinner, threader, winder, bobbin winder, that's what I was looking for. Anyway, I do appreciate you watching, and I will see you next time.